The notification came at 2 a.m. 47,000 people had just seen her husband's post comparing his marble kitchen to her cracked apartment window. The caption read, "She chose bitterness." By sunrise, Rebecca Morrison would become the most talked about woman on the internet, but not for the reasons her ex-husband expected. What started as one man's public humiliation of his ex-wife would explode into a movement that changed thousands of lives. Within 48 hours, Rebecca would post a 5-minute video that would be viewed over 15 million times. Within a week, her ex-husband's carefully constructed empire would begin to crumble. Within a month, women across the country would be using 3 words as a battle cry: Rebecca speaks truth. But this isn't a story about revenge. It's a story about what happens when a woman who's been silent for 15 years finally finds her voice. About the cost of speaking up and the burden of staying quiet. About a mother who had to choose between protecting her ex-husband's image and protecting her daughter's future. Because that video, it would cost Rebecca everything she had left to lose: her privacy, her children's innocence, maybe even custody of her kids. The only question was, would telling the truth be worth the price? Stay with me, because what happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew about divorce, social media, and what it really takes for a woman to reclaim her life. This is the story of how one viral video became a revolution. The phone buzzed again and again. Becca Morrison stared at the cracked screen of her 5-year-old iPhone, watching the notifications multiply like the accusations. 11 texts, 15 missed calls, all in the last 20 minutes. Her hands shook as she unlocked it. The first message was from Jenna. "OMG, please tell me you haven't seen this yet." But she had seen it. She was looking at it right now. Tyler's Instagram. The photo he had posted 3 hours ago already had 47,000 likes. It was a split-screen image, carefully curated for maximum impact. On the left, Vanessa, his new wife, stood in their marble kitchen. White cabinets stretched behind her like wings. Gold fixtures caught the afternoon light. Fresh flowers spilled from a crystal vase. Designer athleisure that cost more than Becca's monthly grocery budget hung perfectly on Vanessa's frame. Caption above read, "Living my best life." On the right sat a photo of Becca's apartment building, the faded blue siding that she had learned to ignore, the rusted fire escape that creaked when it rained, a laundry basket visible through her kitchen window, testimony to her real life. Caption above read, "She chose bitterness." The caption below read, "Grateful every day that I found real happiness." Some people stay stuck in victim mode forever. Meanwhile, blessed beyond measure. Life is about choices. Becca's stomach turned. She scrolled through the comments, each one a small knife. "Your new wife is gorgeous. You upgraded for sure." Some women just can't be happy for others. Jealousy is ugly. "She probably spent all your money in the divorce, LOL. Living well is the best revenge, King. You deserve this." Facts. Some people would rather play victim than take responsibility. The one that made her throat close was simple and cruel. "I bet she's crying into her boxed wine right now." She set the phone down, picked it up, set it down again. Lock, unlock, lock. The compulsion was automatic. Check again. Maybe it would begin. Maybe she had imagined it. Maybe the universe would correct this cruelty. It did not. Her daughter Grace walked into the kitchen, 14 years old. Tyler's eyes, sharp and assessing. Becca's stubbornness, evident in the set of her jaw. "Mom, everyone at school is talking about Dad's post," Grace said, her voice small. Becca's breath caught in her chest. "What are they saying?" Grace's face crumpled like paper. "That we're poor now, that you're pathetic, that Dad was right to leave you?" "Grace, are we pathetic, Mom? Are we?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with the weight of public judgment. Becca looked around their small apartment, really looked at it. The second-hand furniture she had refinished herself, watching YouTube videos late at night. The DIY curtains she had sewn from clearance fabric. Her mother's old sewing machine whirring in the corner. The walls she had painted herself in soft gray because she could not afford to hire anyone, her back aching for days afterward. 18 months ago, she had lived in a 4,000 square foot house, had a cleaning service that came twice a week, Drove a new SUV every 3 years, always in silver or white to match Tyler's preferences. Wore clothes with designer labels that she never particularly liked but wore because Tyler said they were appropriate. She had also spent those years walking on eggshells, shrinking herself to fit into spaces Tyler deemed acceptable, apologizing for existing too loudly, too messily, too humanly. No, Becca said quietly, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. We're not pathetic. We're starting over. Grace wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Everyone saw it. All his followers. All the comments. People are sharing it. I know, honey. What are you going to do? Becca did not have an answer. Not yet. Her mind was still processing the cruelty, the calculated nature of Tyler's post. He had taken a photo of her building, had stood outside her home, her refuge, and turned it into content. I don't know yet, Becca admitted, but I'll figure it out. Grace looked at her mother with something between hope and doubt. Then she retreated to her room, the door clicking shut with finality. Becca sat at her small kitchen table, the one she had found at a thrift store for $40, the one with mismatched chairs because she could only afford what she could find. She opened her laptop, the old MacBook with the cracked corner that Tyler had let her take because it was practically worthless. The new one, the expensive one, had stayed with him. Tyler's post was everywhere, reposted, screenshotted, turned into memes. Someone had added text over her building. When you let the good one get away. Someone else had photoshopped Vanessa onto a throne, Becca onto the floor at her feet. Another showed Tyler and Vanessa as royalty, Becca as a beggar. The cruelty was casual, effortless, entertaining to thousands of strangers who knew nothing about her story. Becca's phone rang. Jenna. I'm coming over, Jenna said without preamble. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't argue with me. Jenna Patterson had been Becca's best friend since 3rd grade. They had survived bad haircuts, worse boyfriends, and now this. If anyone could help her navigate this nightmare, it was Jenna. When Jenna arrived, she brought wine and fury. That absolute piece of trash, Jenna said, setting the wine on the counter with force. I cannot believe he did this. Actually, yes, I can. This is exactly like him. It's bad, Becca said. It's worse than bad. It's calculated. He positioned this perfectly. The successful man, the beautiful new wife, the bitter ex living in poverty. It's a narrative. I know. Becca, you need to respond. You can't let this stand. How? If I say anything, I look defensive. If I stay quiet, everyone believes his version. Jenna poured 2 large glasses of wine. Then we get strategic. We document everything. We tell the real story. The real story makes me look worse. The wife who couldn't keep her husband. The mother who broke up her family. That's his story. What's yours? Becca took a sip of wine. What was her story? She had been so busy surviving that she had not stopped to define it. I don't know anymore, she admitted. They sat together in silence. Outside, the city hummed with evening life. Inside, Becca felt the weight of 47,000 judgments pressing down on her chest. But within 48 hours, Becca would post something that would change everything. The question was, did she have the courage to tell the truth? Becca did not sleep that night. She lay in her bed. The cheap mattress that had seemed adequate when she bought it now felt like a monument to failure. The springs creaked when she moved. The sheets, polyester because she could not afford the Egyptian cotton she had once taken for granted, felt rough against her skin. Her phone kept lighting up on the nightstand. Messages from people she had not heard from in years, crawling out of the woodwork with their concern. Saw Tyler's post. So sorry you're going through this. Just checking in. Let me know if you need anything. Remember, living well is the best revenge. Stay strong. He's not worth your tears. The false sympathy felt worse than the public mockery. These people had not called when she was actually struggling. When she had moved into this apartment with nothing but garbage bags full of clothes and a broken spirit. When she had cried in grocery store parking lots because she could not afford the brands her kids liked. No, they were calling now because the drama was public, because they wanted a front row seat to her humiliation. At 2 a.m, she did what she had been avoiding for months. She went through Tyler's entire Instagram feed, scrolling back through his carefully curated life. The narrative he had been building was meticulous, calculated, perfect. 6 months ago. New chapter begins. Photo of him and Vanessa at a charity gala. Tyler in a tuxedo, Vanessa in a dress that probably cost more than Becca's monthly rent. Both of them glowing with the confidence of people who believed they deserved happiness. 5 months ago. Finally found someone who appreciates the life I've built. Vanessa in their home gym, which was larger than Becca's entire living room. Equipment that cost thousands of dollars gleaming in the background. 4 months ago. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your success, not resent it. Another couple shot, this time at a rooftop bar. Champagne glasses catching the sunset. 3 months ago. Some people choose growth, others choose blame. Him and Vanessa on a beach vacation. White sand, turquoise water. The kind of trip Becca had once taken with Tyler, back when she was the one in the photos. He had been crafting this story long before the divorce was final. She was the bitter ex-wife. Vanessa was the upgrade. He was the victim who had escaped a toxic situation. Becca's hands trembled as she scrolled further back, looking for the truth beneath the performance. Then she found something that made her stop breathing. A comment thread from 2 weeks ago. Someone had asked, "How's your ex handling the divorce?" Tyler had responded, "She's struggling, made some bad choices, but I'm focused on my own happiness now." Bad choices. As if leaving a marriage where she had been cheated on repeatedly was a character flaw. As if choosing dignity over diamonds was evidence of poor judgment. Becca kept reading, her heart pounding. Found another post, another comment, another subtle jab at her character. My ex could never understand my ambitions. Some people are content with mediocrity. I tried to help her grow, but you can't change people who don't want to change. It's sad when someone chooses to be a victim instead of taking responsibility for their choices. He had been doing this for months, death by 1,000 cuts, building a public narrative where she was the failure and he was the hero who had overcome adversity by leaving her. I'm not crazy. He's rewriting history, making me the villain in a story where he was the one who cheated, who lied, who destroyed our marriage. The rage started small, a pilot light in her chest, barely noticeable at first. She got up from bed, made coffee in her small kitchen, the Mr. Coffee machine that had seen better days sputtering to life, sat at her tiny table as dawn broke through the thin curtains. Her laptop sat in front of her, an old MacBook with a cracked corner where she had dropped it during the move. Tyler had kept the new one, of course. He had kept most things. She opened a blank document and started typing. Not a response to Tyler, not yet. This was for her, to organize her thoughts, to remember what was real. She typed the truth. The real story that no one knew because she had been too ashamed to tell it. About how she had spent 15 years making herself smaller so he could feel bigger. How she had turned down job opportunities because Tyler said his career had to come first. That they could not have two ambitious people in one marriage. How she had apologized for his affairs. Plural, yeah, Vanessa was not the first. There had been others, a coworker when Grace was 5, a woman from his gym when Ethan was 7, a client when their marriage was already crumbling. Each time Tyler had convinced her it was somehow her fault. She was not attentive enough, not attractive enough, not interesting enough. If she just tried harder, he would not need to look elsewhere. She typed for 2 hours, her fingers flying across the keys. The words poured out like poison being extracted from a wound. When Grace woke up for school, Becca was still typing, the coffee pot empty, her eyes burning. "Mom, did you sleep?" Grace asked, appearing in the kitchen doorway in her pajamas. "No," Becca closed the laptop, "but I'm okay." Grace studied her face with the perception of teenagers who notice everything their parents wish they would not. "You look different." "Different how?" "I don't know. Less sad? More angry?" Becca felt something shift inside her chest, the pilot light flaring into something bigger. "Good," she said. "Maybe it's about time I stopped being sad and started being angry." Grace smiled slightly, the first real smile Becca had seen from her in days. "Can I have pancakes?" "Of course, honey." They made pancakes together, the kitchen filling with the smell of butter and vanilla. Grace told her about a test she was worried about. Becca helped her study at the table, quizzing her on vocabulary words. For a moment, it felt normal, like they were building something new instead of mourning something lost. At work, Becca moved through her day in a fog. She had taken a job as an administrative assistant at a marketing firm 6 months ago. $42,000 a year. Healthcare benefits that were decent. A cubicle with gray walls that she had decorated with photos of Grace and Ethan. It was not the life she had imagined. She had graduated from college with a degree in communications, had worked at an advertising agency before Grace was born, had been good at her job, creative and driven. But Tyler had convinced her to stay home, said the kids needed her, said his career was taking off and he needed her support, said she could always go back to work later. Later never came. During her lunch break, Jenna called. "I've been trying to reach you all morning," Jenna said, her voice tight with concern. "I know, I'm sorry. Have you seen how many shares that post has now?" Becca had not looked since the middle of the night. "How many?" 15,000. People are reposting it, making memes. There's a whole thread on Reddit dissecting your relationship. The pilot light in Becca's chest flared hotter. "What are they saying?" she asked, though part of her did not want to know. Jenna hesitated. "Some are defending you, saying Tyler's a jerk for posting it, but most are not kind. The internet loves a schadenfreude story. Successful man, bitter ex-wife, new beautiful wife. It's a tale as old as time. Except it's not true. I know that. You know that. But Tyler's got 200,000 followers and apparently a PR firm that makes him look like a saint." "He has a PR firm?" "Becca, he's been building his brand for 3 years. He's not just a real estate developer anymore. He's an influencer, motivational speaker, author. He's got a whole empire built on the idea that he's this self-made success story who overcame adversity." "What adversity? He inherited his father's company. His dad handed him everything." "Exactly. But that's not the story he's selling. He's selling the narrative that he pulled himself up by his bootstraps, that he's a self-made man who teaches other people how to succeed. And part of that narrative requires you to be the obstacle he overcame." Becca closed her eyes, pressing her palm against her forehead. "So what do I do?" "Honestly, I don't know. Nothing might be the best option. Responding will just make it worse. These things blow over. The internet has the attention span of a goldfish." But Becca knew it would not blow over. Not for Grace, who would face whispers at school every day. Not for Ethan, who idolized his father and was starting to pull away from her, confused about who was telling the truth. Not for herself, who would have to live with the world believing Tyler's version of events. "I need to think," Becca said. "Okay, but Becca, whatever you decide, I'm here. Always." After work, Becca sat in her car in the parking lot. She could not go home yet, could not face the emptiness of her apartment, the weight of decisions unmade. Instead, she did something she had not done in months. She scrolled through her own camera roll, going back years. The photos told a story she had not wanted to see while she was living it. Their wedding day. She had been 23 years old, Tyler 26, so young, so hopeful, so naive about what marriage actually required. She had worn her grandmother's veil, something old and precious, carried peonies because they were her favorite flower, soft and romantic, promised forever in a church full of people who had no idea what forever actually meant. Swipe. Grace is a newborn. Tyler holding her awkwardly in the hospital, looking at the camera like he was not sure how he had gotten there. He had been terrified of the baby, had barely held her those first few weeks. Becca had done everything while recovering from a difficult delivery. Swipe. Their first house. The starter home they had bought with money from Tyler's father, $20,000 for the down payment, gifted with strings attached. Becca had painted every room herself while pregnant with Ethan. Tyler had been too busy with work to help, always too busy. Swipe. Christmas morning, the kids opening presents, their faces lit with joy. Tyler in the background on his phone, barely present even for the moments that mattered. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Every photo told the same story she had been too afraid to see while living it. Tyler at the center. Everyone else orbiting around him like planets around a sun. How had she missed it? The way he never asked about her day unless it related to him somehow. The way he introduced her as my wife but never by name. as if her identity was solely defined by her relationship to him. The way her opinions disappeared into his certainty, dissolved by his confidence that he was always right. That afternoon, Becca made a decision that would either ruin her completely or set her free. There was no middle ground left. Becca drove aimlessly for an hour after work, not ready to go home, not knowing where else to go. She ended up at the park where she had taken the kids when they were little, the playground where Grace had learned to swing by herself, where Ethan had fallen off the monkey bars and chipped his front tooth, where they had been a family, or at least performed being one. She sat on a bench, watched mothers push children on swings, their voices carrying across the playground in a mixture of encouragement and exhaustion. A woman her age sat nearby on another bench, designer athleisure that probably cost $300, perfect highlights that required monthly salon visits, wedding ring that caught the afternoon light, a diamond the size of a marble. The woman's phone rang. She answered with a tight smile that Becca recognized immediately. "Hi, honey." "Yes, I picked up your dry cleaning." "Yes, I remembered the special starch." "No, I haven't had time to call the landscaper yet. I'll do it tomorrow." "Yes, I know it's been 3 days. I'm sorry." She hung up, caught Becca watching. "Sorry," Becca said. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop." The woman laughed, but it was hollow, empty of real humor. "It's fine, just another day in paradise." Something in her voice, the same exhaustion Becca remembered from her own marriage, the weariness of constantly managing someone else's expectations. "How long have you been married?" Becca asked. 12 years. You?" "Divorced, 18 months now." The woman's face changed. Envy flickered across it like lightning, quickly hidden behind the mask of social appropriateness. "Oh, that must be hard." "Some days it is." Becca paused, choosing her words carefully. "But easier than staying was." The woman looked at her phone, at the park, at the children playing, at anything except Becca's eyes. "I should go. Soccer practice in 30 minutes." She left quickly, gathering her expensive purse and walking away like divorce was contagious. Like Becca's failure might somehow infect her own carefully maintained life. Becca sat alone on the bench. The sunset painted the sky orange and pink, beautiful and indifferent to human suffering. Her phone buzzed. Tyler. The message was curt, businesslike. "We need to talk about Grace. She's being disrespectful to Vanessa." Not, "How are you handling the post?" Not, "I'm sorry for publicly humiliating you." Not, "Are you okay? Are the kids okay? Did I hurt you?" Just more demands, more criticism, more ways she was failing at the queen of managing his life. Somewhere along the way, I became invisible. Not a person with thoughts and feelings and needs, just a function. Wife, mother, supporting character in Tyler's story. My job was to make him look good, and when I couldn't do that anymore, I became disposable. Becca typed and deleted 3 responses, each one too angry, too honest, too revealing of the rage building inside her. Finally, she sent back, "Grace is processing a lot right now. She needs time." Tyler's response came immediately, 3 dots appearing and disappearing as he typed and retyped. Then, "She needs to learn respect. I'm her father. And I'm her mother, who actually listens to her." 3 dots appeared again, disappeared, appeared, then, "This is exactly why we didn't work. You're always so defensive, always playing victim instead of taking responsibility." Becca stared at the message. The gaslighting was so familiar it almost felt comfortable, like slipping into an old coat that had never quite fit but you wore anyway because it was there. She had spent years apologizing for having feelings, for having needs, for taking up space in her own life, for wanting things like respect and fidelity and partnership. No more. She blocked his number. Would communicate through the parenting app the court required for all custody-related discussions. Nothing more. No more late-night texts criticizing her parenting. No more demands for emotional labor she no longer owed him. Her thumb hovered over the block button. The action felt enormous, final. She pressed down. The relief was immediate and terrifying, like cutting a rope while still in midair. Necessary, frightening, freedom. That night after Grace was asleep, Becca opened her laptop again. read what she had written that morning in her rage and exhaustion. The truth. All of it. Typed out in brutal honesty. The affairs, not just Vanessa, but the ones before her. The financial control that had left Becca with no credit cards in her own name. No savings account Tyler did not have access to. The way Tyler had systematically isolated her from friends, always finding reasons why her friendships were unhealthy or her friends were bad influences. The way he had convinced her she was lucky he stayed, that no one else would want a woman like her. But was truth enough? She thought about Tyler's post. 47,000 likes, now 73,000. The number climbing every hour like a score in a game she had not known she was playing. She thought about Grace's face when she asked if they were pathetic. The fear and shame in her daughter's eyes. She thought about Ethan, who had stopped calling her more than once a week, who spent weekends at Tyler's house and came back quieter each time, more withdrawn, more confused about which parent to believe. She thought about all the other women out there, sitting on park benches, walking on eggshells in their own homes, believing they were the problem because someone they loved told them so often enough that it became truth. Becca began to type, not a defensive response, not an explanation or justification, but something that would burn Tyler's carefully constructed image to the ground. The only question was, did she dare press post? She typed through the night, fueled by coffee and years of suppressed rage. The words came easier than she expected, like they had been waiting inside her all along, just needing permission to emerge. She wrote about the first time Tyler cheated, how she had found the text and he had convinced her she was invading his privacy, how he had turned it around until she was apologizing to him for not trusting him enough. She wrote about the financial abuse, how he controlled every dollar, how she had to ask permission to buy groceries, how he questioned every purchase, made her feel guilty for spending money on herself or the kids. She wrote about the gaslighting, the way he convinced her that her memory was wrong, that things he said never happened, that she was crazy, oversensitive, imagining things. She wrote about the isolation, how he systematically removed her from her support system, how her friends were bad influences or toxic, how her family was dramatic and interfering until she had no one left but him. She wrote until her eyes burned and her fingers ached, until the apartment was silent except for the sound of typing and the occasional car passing outside. When she finally stopped, it was 4 a.m. The document was 8 pages long, too long for a social media post, too raw for public consumption. But it was the truth, and she was done hiding from truth. She would need to edit it, make it shorter, make it sharper, make it something people would actually read instead of scrolling past. But the bones were there, the skeleton of her story, finally articulated after years of silence. Becca closed the laptop and went to bed as dawn broke. She slept for 3 hours, dreamless and exhausted. When she woke, she knew what she had to do. The only question was whether she had the courage to do it. Becca spent the next 3 days writing and rewriting. She called in sick to work on Monday, unable to focus on spreadsheets and filing when her entire life was imploding. Her boss was understanding, probably because half the office had seen Tyler's post. She showed no one what she was working on. Not Jenna, who would worry it was too risky. Not her divorce attorney, who would advise against it for legal reasons. Not even her therapist, who would want to process the decision endlessly before she made it. This had to be hers alone. Her voice, her story, her choice. She created a new Instagram account Tuesday morning, not to hide behind anonymity, but to start fresh, to separate herself from the person she had been when married to Tyler. Username, Rebecca Speaks. She chose it carefully. Not Becca, the nickname Tyler had insisted on because Rebecca was too formal. Not Morrison, which was Tyler's name that she carried like borrowed clothes. Just Rebecca, her full name that she had stopped using years ago. For the profile photo, she used a picture Jenna had taken of her last week. They had gone for coffee, trying to find normal in the chaos. Jenna had snapped it when Becca was not paying attention, laughing at something ridiculous. In the photo, Becca had no makeup. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She wore an old sweater with a small hole in the sleeve. She looked tired. She looked real. She looked like herself. Bioin, telling the truth, finally. 3 words that felt like a promise and a threat. Her first post would be a video. She had learned that video performed better than text on social media. People wanted to see faces, hear voices, connect with real humans instead of words on a screen. She practiced recording herself Tuesday afternoon after Grace went to school, set up her phone on a stack of books on the kitchen table, positioned herself in front of the window where the light was good. She recorded 10 versions, deleted them all. Too angry, too defensive, too victim-y, too aggressive, too weepy, too cold. She could not find the right tone, could not figure out how to be vulnerable without being pathetic, how to be strong without being hard, how to tell the truth without sounding bitter. Wednesday morning, she tried again. This time she did not practice, she just pressed record and spoke. "My name is Rebecca Morrison," she said, looking directly into the camera. "You probably know me as Tyler Morrison's bitter ex-wife, the cautionary tale, the woman who couldn't get over it, the one living in poverty while he lives his best life." Her voice cracked slightly. She did not edit it out. "I want to tell you the real story, not for revenge, though I won't lie and say the thought hasn't crossed my mind. Not to hurt anyone, though some people will inevitably be hurt by the truth. But because I spent 15 years being silent, and silence almost killed me." She paused, breathed, continued. "Tyler posted a photo of my apartment, called it a choice. He's right. It was a choice. I chose to leave a marriage where I was cheated on, repeatedly. I chose to protect my children from watching their mother disappear one compromise at a time. I chose dignity over diamonds." The words came easier now, flowing like water that had been dammed up too long. "This apartment? It's mine. I pay for it with money I earn at a job I work 40 hours a week. Not money someone gives me as an allowance. Not money I got by destroying someone else's life. Mine." The narrative Tyler sells online, the self-made success story, is built on a foundation of lies. His company, inherited from his father. Every penny of startup capital came from family money. His wealth? Generational. He was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. His wisdom? Repackaged quotes from actual self-help authors who did the work he pretends to have done. She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping. "But here's what really matters. For 15 years, I believed I was the problem. When he cheated, he told me I wasn't attentive enough. That if I had been a better wife, he wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. When he criticized my appearance, I thought I wasn't trying hard enough. I started going to the gym at 5 in the morning. Wore clothes I hated because he liked them. Dyed my hair, got Botox. Tried to become whatever version of me he wanted. When he controlled every dollar, every purchase, every financial decision, he said I was bad with money. Never mind that I had worked before Grace was born. Never mind that I had my own bank account until he convinced me it was better to combine everything. Never mind that I couldn't buy groceries without justifying every item." Becca felt tears building but pushed through them. "I wasn't the problem. The marriage wasn't the problem. Tyler's need to feel superior by making me feel small was the problem. And Vanessa, the woman he calls his upgrade, she's not the problem either. She's the next one who will learn what I learned. That no amount of beauty or compliance will ever be enough for someone who measures their worth by making others feel worthless. I'm not asking for sympathy. I don't want pity. I'm asking for honesty. About what it really takes to leave. About the financial devastation that comes with choosing yourself over security. About how society punishes women for walking away from marriages that were destroying them one day at a time." She looked directly into the camera, imagining her children watching this someday. "My kids are watching this. Hi, Grace. Hi, Ethan. I know this is hard. I know you love your dad. You should. He's your father and he has good qualities. But you should also know the truth, that your mom didn't give up." She woke up. To everyone else watching, if you're in a relationship where you're constantly apologizing for existing, where your partner's image matters more than your reality, where you've become a supporting character in someone else's life story, listen to me. It's not you. It never was. She took a deep breath. And to Tyler, thank you. For the post. For the public humiliation. because it forced me to finally find my voice after 15 years of swallowing words that would have protected me. Turns out I had quite a bit to say. Becca hit stop. The video was 5 minutes and 43 seconds long. She watched it once. Her hands shook. Her voice wavered in parts. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes from 3 days of barely sleeping. She looked real. She did not edit it, did not add filters or music or captions, just uploaded it raw, posted it at 9 p.m. on Friday night, added hashtags, divorce, financial abuse, gaslighting, narcissist, truth, tagged Tyler's account so he would know, so his followers would see. Then she turned off her phone and went to bed. She lay in the dark, listening to the sounds of her building. The couple upstairs arguing about whose turn it was to do dishes. The dog barking 2 doors down, probably wanting to go out. The hum of the ancient refrigerator that clicked on and off throughout the night. Normal sounds, human sounds, real-life sounds. For the first time in months, she felt something close to peace. She slept through the night, dreamless and deep. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Becca turned on her phone. The notifications exploded across her screen so fast she thought her phone was malfunctioning. Instagram. 5,943 new notifications. She blinked. Refreshed the app. The video had been viewed 40,000 times. She stared at the number, unable to process it. 40,000 people had watched her sitting at her kitchen table, telling the truth about her marriage. She refreshed again. 72,000 views. Her heart started pounding. Refresh. 118,000 views. The comments were flooding in faster than she could read them. Queen. This is the response we needed. Tyler is scrambling right now, I guarantee it. She just destroyed him with facts, and he can't say anything without proving her right. Every woman needs to see this. I'm crying. This is my story too. But also, predictably, she sounds bitter. Airing dirty laundry is trashy. Handle this in private. 2 sides to every story. Gold digger playing victim. She probably cheated first. This is what feminism has done to women. No accountability. Becca's phone started ringing. Jenna, she answered, her voice rough from sleep. Jenna. Becca, what did you do? Jenna's voice was somewhere between panic and awe. I told the truth. Your video has been shared 6,000 times in the last hour. People are dissecting every word. Tyler's comment section is exploding. People are going through his old posts and finding inconsistencies in his story. I know, I'm watching it happen. Tyler's team is going to come for you. Hard. This is defamation lawsuit territory. Let them come. Discovery will be fun. We have the bank records, the texts from his affairs, the emails where he admitted to cheating. Let them put it all in court. Becca, I'm serious. This is not a game. I know it's not a game, Jenna. My life has been destroyed. My reputation has been trashed. My kids are suffering. I'm done playing by rules that only protect him. Jenna was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm proud of you. Terrified for you, but proud. By noon, the video had 500,000 views. News sites were picking it up. Real estate mogul's ex-wife goes viral with shocking claims about her marriage. Someone had created a hashtag. Rebecca Speaks. Women were using it to share their own stories of financial abuse, gaslighting, coercive control. Tyler's Instagram went silent. The post mocking her apartment disappeared. Deleted. Too late. Screenshots live forever. People were reposting it with comments about what kind of person mocks their ex-wife's poverty. Becca's phone rang constantly. Unknown numbers, media requests, interview offers from morning shows, podcasts, online publications. She ignored them all. This was not about becoming famous. This was about speaking truth. At 2 p.m., Diana Frost called, Becca's divorce attorney. I've been trying to reach you for 3 hours, Diana said, her voice clipped with professional concern. Sorry, my phone's been insane. I need you to stop giving interviews immediately. I haven't given any interviews. The video, Becca, you just put everything on public record. Everything we've been trying to handle privately is now out there for the world to see. Everything I said is true. Truth is a defense against defamation. Truth is a defense, yes, but Tyler's lawyers are already threatening to sue for emotional distress, damage to his business reputation, loss of business opportunities. They're claiming you're trying to destroy his livelihood. He tried to destroy my reputation first, with 47,000 people liking his post about my poverty. I know, but judges don't like social media wars. And if you escalate this public feud, it will affect the custody arrangement. That stopped Becca cold. What do you mean, she asked carefully. He's already filed an emergency motion, claims you're creating a hostile environment for the children, using them as pawns in a public battle, alienating them from their father. So I stay silent while he publicly humiliates me? I let him control the narrative forever? I teach my daughter that women should be quiet when men are cruel to them, that we should accept abuse to keep the peace? I'm saying be strategic, Diana continued. Public opinion isn't a court of law. What plays well on Instagram doesn't always play well in front of a judge. Maybe it should. Becca, I'm trying to protect you. I know, but I'm done being protected by silence. Becca hung up. She opened Instagram again. The video had 700,000 views now. The comments were a war zone. Team Tyler versus Team Rebecca. People arguing about who was telling the truth as if truth was a matter of opinion. But something else was happening too. Women were sharing their stories in her comments. Long, detailed accounts of their own marriages, their own Tylers. My ex did the same thing. Convinced me I was crazy. Thank you for speaking up. I left my husband last night because of your video. I finally saw clearly what I've been living with. 23 years I stayed silent. Apologized for his affairs. No more. Thank you for giving me courage. My daughter is watching you, learning that she doesn't have to accept abuse in the name of love. You saved my life tonight. Literally, I had pills in my hand. Your video stopped me, showed me there's another way. Becca read comment after comment, tears streaming down her face. She had not expected this, had not imagined that her private pain would resonate with so many others. She posted a second video, shorter this time, 2 minutes. Sitting in the same spot at her kitchen table, she looked directly into the camera. To Tyler's legal team, if you're watching this, I welcome the lawsuit. Please, please sue me for defamation. Discovery will be enlightening for everyone. Every text message, every bank statement, every affair, all of it will become public record. So please, make my day. File that lawsuit. To everyone watching and sharing their stories, I see you, we see each other. You're not alone, you never were. To the people saying I should have handled this privately, I tried private for 15 years. Private is where abuse thrives. Public accountability is uncomfortable. It's messy, but it's honest. And I'm done pretending to protect people who hurt me. She posted it without hesitation. By midnight, the original video would reach 5 million views. By Monday, Tyler's carefully crafted empire would begin to crumble in ways he never anticipated. But first, Becca would have to survive the worst weekend of her life. Sunday, 2 a.m. Becca sat on her bathroom floor, the cold tile pressing against her back through her thin pajamas. She had slid down the wall an hour ago and could not find the energy to stand back up. The video had 10 million views. Her face was everywhere she looked. Memes, think pieces, hot takes from people who knew nothing about her life. Bitter ex-wife exposes real estate king. Business insider. Is Rebecca Morrison a hero or an attention seeker? HuffPost, the dark side of Tyler Morrison's success story. Forbes. Woman's viral video sparks debate about public divorce. CNN. The attention was suffocating. She had wanted to tell her truth. She had not anticipated becoming a spectacle for the entire internet to dissect and debate. Her phone rang. Tyler. She should not have answered. Every instinct told her not to. But she was tired, and it was 2 a.m. and she was sitting on a bathroom floor questioning every decision she had ever made. She answered, "You're destroying our children," Tyler said. His voice was cold, calculated, the voice he used in business meetings when someone disappointed him. They're seeing this. Everyone at school is seeing this. Do you have any idea what you've done? You posted first, Becca said, her voice flat. A single photo, one post. You created a media circus. You've made our private life public entertainment. I told the truth. Your version, your vendetta against me because you can't accept that I'm happy now. Which part was a lie, Tyler? Tell me which part I made up. The affairs, the gaslighting, the financial control? Which part should I recant? Silence on the other end. Then, in a voice so quiet it was almost a whisper, "You're going to regret this. I promise you that. You think you've won something here? You've destroyed yourself. No one will ever want you now. You're damaged goods, Becca. Everyone can see it." He hung up. Becca stared at the phone in her hand. The pilot light that had been burning in her chest flickered and dimmed. What had she done? Grace was at Tyler's for the weekend, his designated custody time. Becca had not heard from her since the video posted Friday night. No texts, no calls, complete silence. Ethan had sent one message Saturday morning. "Why did you do this, Mom?" She had tried calling him. He did not answer. She had texted back. Nothing. She was losing them. The only good things to come from her marriage, and she was losing them. The bathroom tiles were cold. She pulled her knees to her chest, making herself small. She sat in the bathtub, fully clothed, turned on the water without thinking. The water ran cold around her because she had not adjusted the temperature. She could not remember when she had turned it on, could not remember how long she had been sitting there. Her phone buzzed on the sink. Jenna, just one word. Location? Becca typed back her address. 20 minutes later, Jenna let herself in with the spare key Becca had given her months ago. Found her in the bathtub, still fully clothed, the water cold. "Jesus, Becca." Jenna turned off the water, wrapped a towel around her shoulders, led her to the couch like a child. Made tea, chamomile with honey, the way Becca's mother used to make it when Becca was sick as a child. "I ruined everything," Becca said, her voice hollow. "You didn't. My kids hate me. Tyler's going to destroy me in court. I'm a joke on the internet. Half the people think I'm a hero, half think I'm trash. I've become a meme, a think piece, a debate topic. You're not a joke. You're a phenomenon. Do you understand what is happening out there? I'm viral. That's what's happening. I'm entertainment. No, you're a movement. Women are sharing their own stories, using your hashtag, talking about their own Tylers. You gave them permission to speak, to be angry, to tell the truth. I don't want to be a movement. I want my kids back. I want my life back." Jenna pulled out her laptop. "Look, read these." She scrolled through thousands of comments, making Becca read them even when she tried to look away. "My ex did the same thing. Thank you for speaking up so I don't have to be alone anymore. I left my husband last night because of your video. 20 years I stayed. I finally saw clearly. 23 years I stayed silent, apologized for his infidelity, believed him when he said I was the problem. No more, thank you. My daughter is watching you. She's 16. She's learning that she doesn't have to accept abuse. You're teaching her what I couldn't. You saved my life tonight. Literally. I had pills in my hand, ready to end it. Your video stopped me, showed me there's another way out. I'm 67 years old. I stayed for 40 years. I wish someone like you had existed when I was young." Becca read and read and read. The words blurred together, not from tears this time, from recognition, story after story that could have been hers. Women who had lost themselves in marriages to men who needed them small, who had been gaslit into believing they were crazy, who had been financially controlled, who had been told they were lucky to be loved at all. An army of invisible women suddenly visible. "Becca," Jenna said softly, "you did something brave. Brave things are always messy. They're never clean or easy or painless. What about Grace and Ethan? What if they never forgive me? They're teenagers. They're embarrassed. They're confused. Everything in their life is public now. But they'll understand eventually, especially Grace. You showed her what it looks like to refuse to be diminished, to speak truth even when it's terrifying. Tyler's going to take them away. Diana said he's already filed motions. He won't win. Diana's good, and we have evidence. Tyler's the one who opened this door with his public mockery. He just didn't expect you to walk through it. Becca closed her eyes, leaned against Jenna, let herself be held. I just wanted him to stop lying about me, she whispered. I just wanted people to know the truth. Well, they do now. The whole internet is fact-checking his entire life story. Did you see? Someone found his college transcripts. He didn't graduate magna cum laude like he claimed on his website. He barely graduated at all. Someone else found incorporation documents for his company. His self-made business was funded entirely by his father. He's being exposed left and right, and all he can do is watch. Good. But I didn't do this for revenge. I did it because I couldn't stay silent anymore. And now I'm terrified I broke something I can't fix. What if my kids never speak to me again? What if this was the worst decision I ever made? This is the dark place. 2 a.m. thoughts, when you question everything. When the cost of speaking feels higher than the cost of silence ever was. When you wonder if courage was just another word for stupidity. Jenna stayed until dawn, sleeping on Becca's couch. When Becca woke at 8 a.m., Jenna was making breakfast. Scrambled eggs and toast, simple and nourishing. They ate in silence, too tired for words. At 9 a.m., Becca's phone rang. Grace's school. Miss Morrison, Grace is in the counselor's office. She's asking to come home. Becca drove there in 12 minutes, breaking speed limits, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard they ached. Ran into the building, signed Grace out at the front desk with shaking hands. Grace sat in the counselor's office, eyes red from crying, mascara smeared down her cheeks, looking younger than 14, small in the big chair. Mom, Becca pulled her close. Grace sobbed into her shoulder, her whole body shaking. Everyone's talking about it, Grace said between sobs. The video, the comments, Dad's interview this morning on the news. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know us. What interview? Becca asked, though she dreaded the answer. The counselor, Mrs. Patterson, handed her a phone, local news. Tyler in his office, the one with the expensive furniture and the view of the city, wearing a suit that cost more than Becca's monthly rent. Calm expression, wounded eyes, perfect victim. Tyler spoke to the camera with practiced sincerity. I'm heartbroken by what's happening. Rebecca is clearly struggling with mental health issues. I've tried to support her through this difficult transition, offered to pay for therapy, to help financially. But she's chosen a path of public destruction instead of private healing. My only concern now is for our children. They're caught in the middle of their mother's crisis. They're being exposed to things no child should have to see. I'm consulting with my legal team about the best way to protect them from further harm. He looked sincere, concerned, reasonable, a worried father trying to protect his children from an unstable mother. Becca looked like the crazy one, the unhinged ex-wife who could not let go. He's so good at that, Grace whispered, making you look like the villain, making himself look like the victim. He's always been good at that. Grace, Becca started. No, Mom, listen to me. I saw the video. I read the comments, all of them. And I've been thinking, remembering things I didn't let myself think about before because it was easier not to. What things, honey? The way he talked to you, like you were stupid, like your opinions didn't matter. The way you got quieter and quieter over the years, like you were disappearing. The way he flirted with Vanessa at that Christmas party 2 years ago, when you were still married, when we were supposed to be a family. You were 12 years old, Grace. You shouldn't have had to notice those things. I was 12, not blind. I just didn't want to see it. Didn't want to admit that Dad could be cruel, that our family was broken long before the divorce. Grace wiped her eyes with the tissue Mrs. Patterson offered. Everyone at school is picking sides. Team Tyler or Team Rebecca, like it's a game. It's so stupid, but some of my friends, their moms messaged them, said to tell me they're proud of you, that they wish they'd been as brave when they had the chance. And the others, Becca asked, though she knew, called you a gold digger, a liar, a bad mother, said you're destroying Dad's reputation for attention, said you're using me and Ethan as weapons. I'm so sorry, Grace. I'm so sorry this is affecting you like this. I never wanted to hurt you. Don't apologize. You told the truth. Dad's the one who should apologize. He started this by posting that picture of our building. He humiliated us first. You just defended yourself. They sat together in the counselor's office. Mrs. Patterson brought them both water, gave them space to breathe. Grace, do you feel safe at home? At both homes? Mrs. Patterson asked gently, professionally. Grace thought about the question seriously. Yes, Mom's home is peaceful, quiet, real. Dad's home is performative. Everything's for show. Performative, Mrs. Patterson made notes. Everything's for Instagram. Vanessa's always taking pictures, staging moments. Dad's always talking about image, about how things look to other people. Nothing is ever just for us. It's all content. It's exhausting trying to be perfect all the time. Mrs. Patterson wrote more notes. Becca knew these notes would matter if Tyler pursued custody changes. Evidence of how the children felt in each home. I want to live with you full-time, Mom, Grace said suddenly. I don't want 50-50 custody anymore. Grace, you don't have to choose. I'm not choosing between you. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing reality over performance. I'm choosing a home where I can be myself instead of being content for Dad's followers. Starting over feels impossible, but staying feels worse. I chose impossible. I chose breathing. And now my daughter is choosing the same thing. That night, Ethan called. Tyler was supposed to drop him off Sunday evening, but Ethan had come alone in an Uber. Dad's mad at me, Ethan said, dropping his backpack by the door. Why, honey? Becca asked, hugging him tight. I told him the video didn't lie, that you just told the truth about what happened. He said I was disrespecting him. Grounded me from my phone for a week for choosing your side. Becca's throat tightened with rage and sadness. Ethan, you don't have to take sides. This isn't about sides. I know, but I'm not taking sides, Mom. I'm just seeing things clearly now. Like when you took me to therapy last year because I was anxious all the time, and the therapist said my anxiety was from an unstable home environment. I thought she meant you, the divorce, the changes. Oh, I know. But I think she meant him, the way he is, the way he's always been. Your dad loves you, Ethan. I know he does, always. But love isn't the same as healthy. You taught me that. Becca held her son, this 11-year-old boy who was learning difficult truths too young. I'm proud of you, Mom, Ethan said quietly, for telling the truth even when it was scary. Those words, she held them close, a treasure against the darkness. Monday morning, Becca called in sick to work again. She could not face people yet, could not field questions from coworkers who had opinions about her life, could not perform normalcy when everything was chaos. She spent the morning on her couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the view count on her video climb. 15 million views now. The number was incomprehensible. At 11 a.m., her laptop chimed with a new email. Subject line, you're not alone anymore. Sender, Sarah Mitchell, Esquire, Friedman and Mitchell Family Law, Seattle. Becca opened it with shaking hands. Dear Rebecca, my name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm a family law attorney in Seattle. I've been practicing for 18 years. In that time, I've represented hundreds of women going through what you went through. Women leaving marriages where they were controlled, diminished, gaslighted. Women who lost everything when they chose themselves. Your video broke something open. Since you posted it Friday night, I've received 83 calls from women ready to leave abusive marriages. 83 women who'd been waiting for permission to stop being quiet, who saw your face and heard your voice and recognized their own stories. I'm writing because we're organizing a response, not to Tyler specifically, not revenge, but to the system that protects men like him, the social media platforms that profit from public humiliation campaigns, the financial systems that leave women impoverished when they leave, the custody courts that punish mothers for being honest about abuse. We're filing a class action lawsuit against the major platforms for enabling financial abuse disclosure and revenge posting. We're creating an illegal defense fund for women who can't afford to fight back. We're building resource networks for emergency housing, financial counseling, job placement. We're building something bigger than your story, a movement. We'd like your permission to use your video as the cornerstone of our campaign. You'd maintain full control. We'd never ask you to do anything you're uncomfortable with. You'd be on the board, making decisions, shaping the direction. But your voice matters, Rebecca. And if you're willing to use it, we can change thousands of lives. Think about it. No pressure. But know that you're not fighting alone anymore. In solidarity, Sarah Mitchell. Becca read the email 3 times, each time catching new details. 83 women in 3 days, ready to leave because they saw her video. A class action lawsuit, legal defense fund, resource networks. Something bigger than revenge. Something constructive. She forwarded the email to Diana Frost with a simple question. Is this legitimate? Diana called immediately. This is very legitimate. I know Sarah Mitchell. We went to law school together. She's the real deal. Harvard Law, partner at one of the best family law firms on the West Coast. She's been trying to tackle systemic issues in family courts for years. She wants to use my video, Becca said. I know, I read the email. This is an opportunity, Becca, to turn this narrative into action. You're not just an ex-wife anymore. You're a symbol. The question is, do you want to be? Becca thought about Grace, learning to stand up for herself, about all the girls watching, learning that women could speak truth, about the woman in the park, trapped in her own perfect-looking prison, about the comments from women saying she had saved their lives. Yes, Becca said, I want to be. She called the number in Sarah's email signature. Sarah answered on the second ring. Rebecca, thank you for calling. Tell me more, Becca said. Tell me everything. They talked for 2 hours. Sarah explained the legal strategy, the resource networks, the media plan. She had a whole team ready. Lawyers who worked pro bono, social workers, financial counselors, web developers, all women, most with their own stories. We've been waiting for the right moment, Sarah said, the right face to build this around. Someone genuine, someone whose story would resonate. You're it, Rebecca. I'm not special. This happened to me, but it's happened to thousands of others. That's exactly why you're perfect. You're every woman, not a celebrity, not an activist with an agenda, just a regular person who got fed up with silence. They created a website, voicesheard.org. The mission was clear: provide legal support, financial resources, and community connection for women leaving abusive or coercive relationships. Becca's video became the centerpiece, but they added resources, hotlines that women could call 24 hours a day, toolkits for leaving safely, step-by-step guides for protecting yourself financially, directories of pro bono lawyers organized by state, templates for documenting abuse. Within 3 days of launching, the site had 500,000 visitors. Within a week, 2 million. The comments on Becca's video became a community, women sharing strategies, offering support, connecting with each other. Someone created a subreddit, Our Voices Heard. It grew to 50,000 members in days. Becca checked her phone compulsively now, but not for validation or to torture herself with Tyler's posts, for stories. Each notification was another woman saying, me too, I see you, I was silent too. The phone had become a lifeline instead of a weapon. Tyler's response was predictable and desperate. He hired a crisis management team, the best money could buy. They crafted a counter-narrative. The falsely accused man, the victim of cancel culture, the father just trying to protect his children. He gave interviews. I'm being attacked for moving on with my life, for finding happiness after a difficult marriage. Apparently, men aren't allowed to be happy anymore. He started a hashtag, Men Falsely Accused. It gained some traction among men's rights activists, but mostly fell flat. But the internet, glorious and unforgiving, was doing its own investigation. Someone found Vanessa's old blog posts from when the affair started. Posts where she had bragged about stealing a married man. Posts where she had mocked Becca specifically, calling her frumpy and boring. Posts she had quickly deleted after Tyler's image became more important than her honesty. Screenshots live forever. Someone else found bank records, somehow, public documents from Tyler's company. He had funded his self-made success with $300,000 from his father while publicly railing against inheritance and handouts, while claiming he built everything from nothing. Someone found his college roommate who did an interview with a podcast, Told stories about Tyler's pattern of dating women, using them emotionally and financially, then discarding them when someone better came along. The roommate had receipts, old emails, photos. A former business partner came forward. Shared documents showing Tyler had stolen his ideas, pushed him out of the company they built together, then sued him into silence with a non-disclosure agreement that had finally expired. The narrative Tyler had spent years building was collapsing like a house of cards. But Becca felt no joy in his destruction, just exhaustion, and something else, something newer. I don't need him to fall apart for me to be whole. His reckoning is his business, his karma, his consequences. Mine is learning who I am without apologizing for existing, without making myself small so someone else can feel big. Grace started talking more about her experiences, about what she had noticed growing up that she had been too young to name. Dad only praised me when I achieved something he could post about, Grace said one night over dinner. Honor roll, soccer championship, art contest, never just for being me, only for what I could add to his image. That must have been confusing, Becca said gently. It was. I thought love was conditional, that I had to perform to be worthy. That's why I got so anxious about grades, about everything, because nothing was ever good enough unless it was perfect and shareable. They talked to Diana about modifying the custody arrangement. Grace was clear about what she wanted. I want to live with Mom full-time. I'll see Dad if he wants, but I need my primary home to be with Mom. Tyler fought it, of course, filed motions claiming Becca was alienating the children, that her video was parental alienation, that she was poisoning them against him. But Grace was 14, old enough for the court to seriously consider her wishes. And Mrs. Patterson's notes documented her feelings clearly. The difference between the two homes, the performance versus reality, the court date was set for 3 weeks out. Meanwhile, voicesheard.org was growing beyond anything Becca had imagined. Other women started sharing their videos, their stories. The website became a repository of truth, thousands of stories that had been silenced for years. One woman's ex-husband had posted revenge porn when she left him. She fought back with lawyers from the defense fund. One posted her court victory to inspire others. Another woman had been financially abused for 20 years, not allowed to work, no access to bank accounts. She documented her journey from $0 to independence, got a job, rebuilt her credit, moved into her own place. Another had been gaslit about her own children's safety. Her ex claimed she was paranoid, hysterical. She recorded every interaction for months, proved his lies, got full custody, each story different in details, each story the same in bones. One night, Becca got an email that made her cry. From a 17-year-old girl. Dear Rebecca, my name is Emma. I'm 17. My mom stayed with my dad for my entire childhood. He was never violent, just mean, critical, made her small. She died last year. Heart attack at 49. The doctor said it was stress, high blood pressure from chronic stress. I watched your video with my boyfriend. He asked why I was crying. I told him I finally understood that my mom was surviving, not living. That stress killed her as surely as any disease. I won't make her mistake. I know now what love should look like, what it shouldn't look like. Thank you for teaching me that leaving is possible, that speaking up is brave, that women don't have to disappear to be loved. My mom never got to be whole, but because of you, I will be. Thank you. Emma Becca printed the email, put it on her refrigerator. On hard days when the backlash felt overwhelming, when Tyler's lawyers sent threatening letters, when the doubt crept in, she would read it and remember why speaking up mattered. One voice, then another, then thousands. A chorus of women refusing to be silent anymore. The court date arrived on a cold Tuesday morning in November. Becca sat in the courtroom with Diana beside her, solid and professional. Grace had asked to testify. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense, had allowed it. Tyler looked perfect. Expensive navy suit, silk tie, hair professionally styled, calm demeanor that spoke of confidence and wounded innocence. He sat with his lawyer, a man who charged $750 an hour and looked like he enjoyed making people miserable. Tyler's lawyer stood for his opening statement. Your Honor, this is a tragic case of parental alienation. Ms. Morrison has waged a public campaign against my client. She has exposed intimate details of their marriage to millions of people. She has used social media as a weapon, turning their children into pawns in her vendetta against their father. He gestured to a stack of printouts, screenshots of Becca's videos, comment sections, news articles. My client has tried to be reasonable. He has offered increased financial support. He has suggested family therapy. He has extended olive branch after olive branch. Ms. Morrison has rejected all of it in favor of public spectacle. The children are suffering. They are being mocked at school. Their private lives are public entertainment. Grace Morrison has explicitly stated she wants to live with her mother full-time. But this desire stems from the hostile environment Ms. Morrison has created. She has poisoned the children against their father. We ask the court to maintain the current 50-50 custody arrangement. Better yet, to award primary custody to Mr. Morrison, who can provide stability, privacy, and financial security that Ms. Morrison cannot match. He sat down, looking satisfied. Diana stood. She did not rush. She arranged her papers deliberately. Let the silence build. Your Honor, Diana began, her voice measured and clear. Let's talk about what actually happened here. Mr. Morrison posted a photograph on his Instagram account, a photograph comparing his current home to Ms. Morrison's apartment. He added a caption implying that Ms. Morrison chose bitterness and poverty. That post received 73,000 likes, thousands of comments mocking Ms. Morrison, comments about her being pathetic, a gold digger, a failure. Mr. Morrison did not delete these comments, did not moderate his followers. He benefited from the public humiliation of his ex-wife. Only after Ms. Morrison responded with her own video did Mr. Morrison suddenly become concerned about privacy, about the children, about public spectacle. He created the spectacle. She simply told the truth about it. Diana pulled out her own stack of documents. These are bank records from the marriage, showing that Mr. Morrison controlled every dollar. Ms. Morrison had to ask permission for grocery money, had to justify every purchase, was given an allowance like a child. These are text messages from Mr. Morrison's affair with Vanessa Cole, his current wife, dated 18 months before he asked for divorce. Explicit messages, making it clear this was not a brief indiscretion, but an ongoing relationship conducted while he was still married. These are emails from Mr. Morrison to Ms. Morrison, gaslighting her about the affair, telling her she was crazy, that she was imagining things, that she was paranoid and jealous. And these, Diana held up the final stack, are Mrs. Patterson's counseling notes, documenting Grace's feelings about both homes. Her exact words, Dad's house is performative, everything is for show. Mom's house is peaceful, I can be myself. Diana looked directly at the judge. Miss Morrison did not alienate the children from their father. She simply stopped protecting his image at the expense of her truth. If that truth makes him look bad, perhaps the problem is his behavior, not her honesty. Tyler's lawyer cross-examined Becca first. Miss Morrison, you posted a video that has been viewed over 15 million times, correct? Yes. You discussed intimate details of your marriage, your ex-husband's alleged affairs, financial arrangements, private matters. Yes. And you did this knowing your children would see it? That their classmates would see it? I did it knowing my children were already suffering from their father's public post mocking me. I did it knowing they deserved to understand the truth. You could have addressed this privately. I tried private for 15 years. Private is where abuse thrives. You're calling your marriage abusive? Financial control is abuse. Infidelity paired with gaslighting is abuse. Making someone believe they're crazy for seeing what's right in front of them is abuse. So yes. The lawyer smiled like he had won something. And yet you have no police reports, no restraining orders, no documented violence. Not all abuse leaves visible bruises. Convenient, Diana objected. The judge sustained it. Then Grace took the stand. She looked small in the witness chair, younger than 14, but her voice was steady when she spoke. Grace, why do you want to change the custody arrangement? The judge asked kindly. Because my mom's house feels like home. My dad's house feels like a hotel where I'm always being evaluated. Can you explain what you mean by that? Grace took a breath. At mom's, I can just be. I can beat those on in a angry, confused, whatever I'm feeling is okay. She doesn't need me to perform happiness. At Dad's, everything has to look perfect. He films us for his Instagram. He critiques what I wear, how I talk, what I post online. He says it's helping me improve, but it just makes me anxious. Tyler's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. I love my dad, Grace continued, looking at Tyler directly. But I need to heal. And I can't heal in an environment where image matters more than reality, where everything we do is content for his followers. When did you start feeling this way? The judge asked. I think I always felt it, but I didn't have words for it until Mom's video. When she talked about being made to feel small, I recognized it. That's how I feel at Dad's. Small, evaluated, never quite good enough unless I'm perfect. Tyler's lawyer tried to cross-examine. Isn't it true your mother has been coaching you, telling you what to say? No, Grace said firmly. Mom told me I didn't have to choose, that I could keep 50-50 custody if I wanted. This is my choice. Your mother's video has influenced you. My mother's video gave me permission to trust my own feelings. There's a difference. The judge asked Grace more questions about her routine at each house, about how she felt, about what she needed. Grace answered every question honestly, clearly, without hesitation. When she stepped down, Tyler's face was pale. The judge took a recess to review the evidence. Becca and Diana sat in the hallway, not speaking. Grace sat between them, exhausted from testifying. After 45 minutes, they were called back in. The judge spoke. I've reviewed the counselor's notes, the custody evaluator's report, my bond, both parents' testimony, Grace's clear and consistent preferences, and the evidence regarding the social media post that initiated this situation. Tyler sat forward, his hands gripping the table. While I understand Mr. Morrison's concerns about privacy, I note that he initiated the public discussion of Ms. Morrison's living situation. He cannot complain about public discourse after inviting it himself. Moreover, Grace is 14 years old enough for her preferences to carry significant weight. She has articulated clear reasons for her wishes that are not the result of parental alienation, but rather her own authentic experience. Therefore, primary physical custody is granted to Rebecca Morrison. Tyler Morrison will have parenting time every other weekend and Wednesday evenings. This arrangement will be reviewed in 6 months to assess how it's working for everyone. Grace exhaled beside Becca. Reached for her hand. Tyler left the courtroom without looking at them. Outside in the parking lot, Becca let herself cry, not from sadness, from relief, from the weight of fighting finally lifting. Diana hugged them both. You did good, both of you. That night, VoicesHeard.org published its first major research report, The Cost of Coercion, Financial Abuse in American Marriages. It went viral within hours. Major news outlets covered it. Politicians referenced it in speeches. Law schools assigned it as reading. The conversation was changing, shifting from bitter ex-wives to systemic abuse, from individual failures to structural problems. Becca did one interview, just one. 60 minutes. She was nervous, but Sarah Mitchell helped her prepare. The interviewer was direct. Do you regret the video? No. Even with everything that's happened, the media attention, the backlash, especially because of everything that's happened. Silence was killing me slowly. Truth set me free quickly. Your critics say you should have handled this privately, that you aired dirty laundry for attention. I tried private for 15 years. Private is where abuse thrives. Public accountability is uncomfortable. It's messy, but it's honest. And I'm done pretending to protect people who hurt me. Private doesn't work for abuse, Becca said carefully. Abusers rely on privacy, on victims staying quiet, on social pressure to keep everything behind closed doors. Public accountability makes people uncomfortable, yes, but discomfort isn't harm. And sometimes discomfort is exactly what's needed to create change. The interview aired on a Sunday night. 15 million viewers. Becca watched it with Grace and Ethan in their small apartment. The one Tyler had mocked, the one that was now home. When it ended, Ethan said quietly, I'm proud of you, Mom. It was becoming his refrain, his way of processing what was happening. Becca held her children close. They were healing. All three of them. Together. 3 months after the court decision, on a cold January afternoon, Becca received a direct message on Instagram from Vanessa. "Can we talk? Please?" Becca stared at the message for 5 full minutes, read it over and over, looking for the trap, the angle, the manipulation. She called Diana first. "Is this a trap?" Becca asked. "Could be, could also be genuine. Document everything if you meet with her. Public place, bring someone with you," Diana advised. Becca agreed to meet. She chose a coffee shop in neutral territory, told Jenna to be there, sitting at a different table but close enough to intervene if needed. Vanessa arrived 15 minutes late, looking different, less polished, more human. Dark circles under her eyes that concealer could not quite hide. Hair in a simple ponytail instead of the elaborate styles from Instagram. Yoga pants and an oversized sweater instead of designer clothes. She looked like someone who had stopped performing. "Thank you for meeting me," Vanessa said, sitting down across from Becca. "Why am I here, Vanessa?" Becca asked directly. Vanessa wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, stared into it like it might hold answers. "Because I need to tell you you were right. About everything." Becca waited. "He's doing it to me now. The same things he did to you. The criticism, the control, the way he needs me to be perfect but also diminished at the same time. I thought I was different, special, the exception to his pattern. You weren't his first affair. I wasn't his first wife. The pattern is the pattern," Becca said without sympathy. "I know that now. I'm leaving him." "Good." "I also wanted to apologize." Vanessa finally looked up, met Becca's eyes. "For the role I played in humiliating you. The Instagram posts, the pictures in your old house, the way I performed Upgrade. I was 29 and stupid, and so desperate to be chosen that I didn't care who I hurt." Becca looked at Vanessa, really looked at her, saw herself at 29 before Tyler had ground her down completely. So eager to please, so sure that love meant making yourself whatever someone else needed you to be. The anger she had carried for this woman for years dissolved, not because Vanessa deserved forgiveness, but because Becca deserved peace. They had both been Tyler's victims, just at different times in his pattern. "I forgive you," Becca said. "Not because you deserve it, because I do." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure. How did you get brave enough to leave?" "I didn't get brave enough. I got desperate enough. Brave came later, after I stopped waiting for permission to save myself." Vanessa wiped her eyes with a napkin. "I started watching your videos, the ones on Voices, Heard. There's this one woman, Angela. She talks about financial abuse, about how her ex controlled every penny for 12 years. Tyler's starting to do that to me too. I have credit cards, but he monitors every purchase, questions everything, makes me feel guilty for spending anything." "Then leave now," Becca said firmly, "before it gets worse, before you have kids with him, before your entire identity is wrapped up in being Mrs. Tyler Morrison." "I don't have anywhere to go. My family disowned me when I started the affair with Tyler. They said I was destroying a family." Becca pulled out her phone, opened voicesheard.org. "Start here. Emergency resources, lawyers who work pro bono, financial counselors who can help you hide money legally, safe housing. It's all here." Vanessa stared at the website, scrolling through resources. "I don't deserve this help. Not after what I did to you." "That's the point. Everyone deserves help. Even the people who made terrible mistakes. Even the ones who hurt others because they were hurting themselves. Everyone deserves a chance to walk away from abuse." They sat in silence for a moment. The coffee shop hummed around them with normal life. Students studying, people on laptops, conversations about ordinary things. "He's going to come after you," Becca warned. "Legally, publicly, he'll try to make you look crazy, gold-digging, vindictive. Document everything, every conversation, every threat, every manipulation. You'll need it. Like you did. Like I did." "Does it get easier?" Vanessa asked. "After you leave?" Becca thought about the question honestly. "Not easier, different. You trade one set of problems for another. But at least they're your problems, made by your choices, not problems imposed by someone who needs you small to feel big. Vanessa left 30 minutes later with phone numbers for lawyers, therapists, financial counselors, a plan, resources, hope. Becca sat alone at the coffee shop for a while after finishing her tea. Jenna came over from her surveillance table. That was generous of you. It was self-preservation, Becca said. Holding on to anger was poisoning me. She's just the next one in line. In 5 years, there'll be another. Tyler doesn't change. The women change. Still, you're a better person than me. I'm a tired person, tired of carrying weight that isn't mine. Meanwhile, Tyler's carefully constructed empire continued its spectacular collapse. Forbes published a devastating investigation. The Tyler Morrison myth, how inherited wealth masqueraded as self-made success. The article was thorough, brutal, meticulously sourced. Bank records obtained through public filings, tax documents, interviews with former employees who had been forced to sign non-disclosure agreements that had now expired, freeing them to tell the truth. Tyler had not built anything. He had inherited everything. Every dollar of startup capital came from his father. Every major contract came through his father's connections. Every success story was fiction built on family money. Worse, the article revealed that he had sued 3 former business partners for defamation when they tried to tell the truth about his lies. Used his inherited money to silence them legally, to destroy their reputations, to ensure his mythology remained intact. The article named names, shared stories, exposed patterns of behavior going back 20 years. By noon, Tyler's company had lost its 3 biggest clients, contracts canceled with immediate effect. By evening, his board had voted him out of his own company. Well, the company his father had built, effective immediately. His book deal was canceled, publisher citing creative differences. His speaking engagements disappeared from his website. His Instagram following started dropping. Slowly at first, then faster. People unlike him in droves, disgusted by the lies. Becca read the news with strange calm. She had wanted accountability. She had gotten it, but she had also gotten something more important, something that had nothing to do with Tyler's success or failure. Her voice, her peace, her life on her own terms. She did not celebrate his downfall, did not feel vindicated by his losses, just felt distance. He was no longer her concern, her problem, her story. He was just the ex-husband of her past. She was the author of her future. 6 months after the viral video, Becca's life looked profoundly different. She had been promoted at work, not because of her fame or her story, because she had finally stopped hiding her competence, her intelligence, her worth. Because she spoke up in meetings, offered ideas, stopped apologizing for taking up space. Her salary increased to $65,000. Not enough to be rich, enough to breathe. She had started a consulting business on the side with Sarah Mitchell's help, helping women build financial independence after leaving abusive relationships, teaching them what she had learned the hard way about credit, about building savings, about protecting yourself. She charged on a sliding scale. Those who could pay, did. Those who could not, received services for free. Money came from the Voices, her defense fund. Her apartment was still small, but she had made it beautiful in ways that mattered to her. Plants everywhere, thriving under her care. Art from local thrift stores that spoke to her. Photos of real moments instead of staged perfection. A couch that was comfortable instead of expensive. Grace was thriving, still seeing her therapist weekly, making art that processed her experiences, powerful and raw, talking about maybe becoming a lawyer someday, about helping people like her mom. She had started a blog, writing about growing up in a house with performance parenting, about healing, about learning to be authentic. It had gained a following of other teenagers dealing with similar issues. Ethan was coming around, slowly, in his own time. Still saw Tyler every other weekend, but the relationship was complicated now. Not worshipful anymore. More realistic. He was learning that people could be both good and bad, that love and harm could coexist. He had started therapy too, working through his confusion, his divided loyalties, his anger at everyone. The 3 of them were rebuilding. Not the family they had been, something new and more honest. Voicesheard.org had grown beyond Becca's wildest dreams. They had raised $3 million in donations, grassroots funding from thousands of small donors, women who had been helped, who wanted to help others. With that money, they funded 2,000 women's legal defenses. 2,000 women who could afford lawyers to fight custody battles, to negotiate fair divorces, to protect themselves. They created emergency housing partnerships in 40 states. Safe places women could go when they left, when they had nowhere else to turn. They built job training programs, financial literacy courses, credit rebuilding services. Sarah Mitchell had turned it into a full nonprofit with a board of directors. Becca served on that board, but it was bigger than her now. It belonged to everyone. Other women continued sharing their stories publicly. The website became a repository of truth that helped women recognize their own situations. One woman's ex-husband had posted revenge porn when she left him. She fought back with lawyers from the Defense Fund, won a landmark case that changed revenge porn laws in her state, posted her victory to inspire others. Another woman had been financially abused for 20 years, not allowed to work or have her own money. She documented her journey from $0 to financial independence, got a job, rebuilt her credit from 400 to 720, moved into her own apartment. Another had been gaslit about her own mental health. Her ex claimed she was bipolar, delusional, needed to be committed. She got evaluated independently, proved she was fine, proved he was lying, got full custody of her kids. Each story different in details. Each story the same in skeleton. Control, gaslighting, financial abuse, public or private humiliation. And then, finally, escape. Tyler tried one last redemption arc. A tearful interview with a sympathetic podcaster. I made mistakes. I see that now. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm learning about my patterns. I want to be better for my kids. The internet was done buying it. Someone recorded him at a restaurant 3 days after the therapy interview. He was trash-talking Becca to his dining companion, a new girlfriend who looked startlingly similar to Vanessa. Calling Becca calculated, manipulative, crazy, laughing about how gullible people were. The recording went viral. His redemption arc died before it began. People were tired of performative growth without actual change. 1 year after the video, Becca did something just for herself. She got a tattoo, small, delicate, on her left wrist where she could see it every day. And still I rise. The words were not original. Maya Angelou had written them decades ago, but they were true for Becca too. She had been knocked down, humiliated publicly, gaslit for years, financially devastated, called crazy, bitter, vindictive, gold-digging. And still, she rose. Becca was invited to speak at a women's conference in Chicago. 5,000 attendees, the largest crowd she had ever addressed. The topic was finding your voice after silence. She stood on stage, looking out at thousands of women, some young, some old, all there because they recognized something in her story. I lost myself so gradually I didn't notice, Becca began. First, it was small things, what movie we watched, where we ate dinner, what I wore, then bigger things, my career, my friendships, my dreams, until one day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. 5,000 women listened in complete silence. Leaving wasn't one decision. It was 1,000 small decisions. To stop apologizing for having needs. To stop accepting crumbs and calling it love. To stop believing I was the problem when I was actually the solution. She paused, letting the words land. The question people ask me most is, do you regret the video? Was it worth it? And here's my honest answer. That video cost me my privacy, my comfort, my children's innocence about their father. It cost me the illusion that staying quiet kept the peace. It cost me people I thought were friends, but who showed themselves to be judgmental strangers. But it gave me something infinitely more valuable. It gave me back myself. The applause started before she finished speaking. It built and built, a wave of sound. Women stood, 5,000 women giving her a standing ovation that went on for minutes. Becca stood there, not performing, not pretending, just being. A woman who had found her voice and refused to lower it for anyone's comfort ever again. After the speech, women lined up to talk to her. For 2 hours, she listened to their stories, hugged them, told them they were not alone. One woman, mid-60s with silver hair and kind eyes, waited until the end. I stayed for 40 years, she said quietly. Raised 5 kids with a man who made me smaller every single day. Your video helped my daughter leave after 2 years. She showed it to me and said, "This is what I don't want to become." I'm so grateful she had you as an example. I wish I had. Becca hugged her, both of them crying. 2 years after the video, Becca moved to a bigger apartment. Still not fancy, but 2 bedrooms so Grace could have her own space. A small balcony where she grew herbs and tomatoes. Windows that let in natural light. She could afford it now with her you and her consulting business. She was dating someone. Slowly, carefully. A man named Marcus who worked in IT, who listened when she talked, who asked questions about her interests, who had his own hobbies and friends, who did not need her to be anything other than herself. It was strange, healthy love. Uncomfortable sometimes in its equality. She kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the control to start, but it did not. Marcus celebrated her successes, supported her work with voices heard, encouraged her to take time for herself, treated Grace and Ethan with respect, not as obstacles to her attention. He was kind, consistently, boringly kind. It was revolutionary. She was happy, not the performed happiness of her marriage, where every smile was staged for photos. Not the filtered happiness of Instagram, where life looked perfect from the outside while crumbling inside. Real happiness, complicated, messy, authentic. Some days were hard. Some days she still doubted herself. Some days the trauma resurfaced and she had to work through it. But the good days outnumbered the bad now, and even the bad days were hers. On the 2-year anniversary of the video, Becca posted one final update. She sat in the same spot at her kitchen table where she had recorded the original video. But everything else was different. No makeup, gray hairs visible at her temples. Evidence of aging she did not hide anymore. Laugh lines around her eyes from genuine joy. A contentment in her face that had not been there before. 2 years ago, I posted a video that changed my life, she began. Today, I want to tell you what I've learned since then. Speaking up doesn't fix everything. It doesn't erase the past. It doesn't guarantee justice or validation. It doesn't make everyone believe you or like you. It doesn't solve all your problems. But it does something more important. It returns your voice to you. It proves you are not crazy when someone tries to convince you that you are. It shows your children that truth matters more than image. It gives other women permission to stop performing and start living. I don't regret the video, but more than that, I don't regret leaving. I don't regret choosing the hard path over the comfortable lie. I don't regret becoming the woman I was always meant to be underneath all the compromises. To everyone watching, your story matters, your voice matters, your truth matters, and you don't need anyone's permission to speak it. Not your partners, not your families, not society's. It's yours. To the women still in the trenches, still deciding whether to leave or stay, still trying to make it work with someone who needs you small. I see you, we see you, and when you're ready, whenever that is, we're here. With resources, with support, with the proof that life after escape is possible. To Grace and Ethan, if you're watching this years from now, I hope you understand why I had to speak, why silence was no longer an option, why your mom chose truth over approval. You deserve to grow up seeing authenticity, not performance. I love you both more than any words can express. And to Tyler, she paused. I forgive you, not because you asked for it, not because you have changed, but because holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting you to die. I'm done letting you occupy space in my head rent-free. You're just part of my past now, not my present, not my future. Thank you all for listening, for sharing your stories, for building something beautiful from broken pieces, for proving that we're stronger together than we ever were alone. This is the last update I'll make about this chapter of my life. I'm closing this door with gratitude and peace and hope for what comes next. What comes next is mine alone, and that's exactly how it should be. She posted it, turned off comments, logged out of Rebecca Speaks for the final time. That account had served its purpose. It was time to let it go. Sunday evening, Grace and Ethan were coming over for their weekly dinner, the tradition they had built together in their new life. Becca cooked pasta, her grandmother's recipe, the one with the secret ingredient of a little sugar in the tomato sauce. The one she had forgotten how to make during her marriage because Tyler preferred takeout or restaurants where they could be seen. The sauce simmered on the stove. Garlic and basil filled the apartment with warmth and comfort and home. She set the table. 3 places. Mismatched plates from various thrift stores, none of them matching, but all of them chosen with care. Fresh flowers she had bought herself from the corner market. Candles because she liked them, not because they created ambiance for photos. The doorbell rang. Her children walked in, Grace carrying wine, even though she was still too young to drink it. For you, from Marcus. He said it pairs well with pasta. Ethan carrying dessert. I made cookies. They're a little burned but edible. They sat around the table, talked about school, about work, about Grace's latest art project, about Ethan's soccer team, laughed at jokes, argued playfully about movies they wanted to watch. Normal. Beautifully, perfectly, wonderfully normal. After dinner, they sat on the couch, watched a documentary about ocean life. Grace fell asleep on Becca's shoulder, something she had not done since she was small. Becca looked at her daughter, at her son sitting on the other side, scrolling through his phone but present, here, choosing to be with them. She looked at her small, imperfect, hard-won life. This was the victory. Not viral videos or Tyler's downfall or vindication from strangers on the internet. This, peace, autonomy, a voice that could not be taken away. Children who were learning that authenticity mattered more than perfection. A home built on truth instead of performance. She had walked through fire to get here, had lost almost everything, had been broken down to her foundations and rebuilt herself from scratch. And she would do it all again, because the woman she had become in those flames was worth every scar, every loss, every hard moment. Outside, the city hummed with life, millions of lives unfolding simultaneously. Millions of stories being written, some of them dark, some of them bright, all of them real. Becca's story was still being written, but now, finally, completely, she held the pen. She was not the woman who had married Tyler at 23, not the woman who had shrunk herself for 15 years, not the woman who had posted that video in desperation and rage. She was someone new, someone who had learned that starting over was not failure but courage. That truth, even when messy, was better than pretty lies. That women did not have to accept being diminished to be loved. She was Rebecca, not Becca, not Tyler Morrison's ex-wife, not a viral video or a think piece or a debate topic, just Rebecca, whole, free, finally home in her own skin. And that was enough. That was everything. And that's where Rebecca's public story ends. But the movement she started, it's still growing. Voices Heard has now helped over 10,000 women leave abusive situations and rebuild their lives. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt small in a relationship, if you know someone who needs to hear that leaving is possible, do me a favor. Hit that like button so more people can find this story. Drop a comment telling me what part hit you hardest. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more true stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, about finding courage in impossible situations, subscribe and turn on notifications, because everyone's story matters, including yours. Remember, speaking up doesn't fix everything, but silence fixes nothing. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, stay strong, stay honest, and never let anyone convince you that your voice doesn't matter. Peace.